everybody, to a new edition of One Man's Trash. I'm Ryan Spielborgs. That's CJ Nikowski. If you don't know the idea of the show, the premise of the show, it's basically show and tell. Nice shirt, by the way, CJ.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
A little tight.
Does it look old? I can't
no.
remember. I think this is 12U suffering Little League Cubs. These were the uniforms, we talked about this before, they used to have to turn in at the end of the year. They must have been getting new uniforms or something. I'm not sure what happened, but somehow I ended up with it. And I was like, you know what? I want to see if this fits today. I should have worn this when we had Eric Karros on, since there was a Cubs connection. I don't think our guest has a Cubs connection, but my wife got a good laugh out of it. She asked me if I was going to wear an undershirt. I said, nope, I'm all the way in. Literally.
Yeah, you might need some tape. Just to prevent any chafing. All right, so our guest that we have today, super excited. He's had a crazy offseason. We'll get into that in a bit. But this guy has reinvented himself multiple times, and I cannot wait to see what your buddy has in store for us.
Yeah, former teammate, knuckleball pitcher, give you a little bit of a hint, and now a broadcaster, and just one of the great guys in the game. I know we said it last time about Eric Karros, but we don't bring bad people on our show, right? We only bring good people on our show, and this is a good one here, and here he comes. Steve Sparks. Oh, sorry, he's busy right now.
Yeah, CJ Nikowski. Remember the lefty in Detroit who gave up all my runs? Yeah, I'm going to talk to him. So, yeah, okay, I'll talk to you. Talk to you a little bit. Yeah, all my runs. Yeah, okay. All right, I love you too, Grandma. Hey, buddy.
Of course. I know. You know I'm going to go search those inherited runner numbers. What's up, Sparky? This is Steve Sparks, everybody. What's going on, man?
Good to see you guys, man. I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing with this. I thought I'd wear my pandemic hair for the occasion, and I'm excited. CJ, hey, what do you got going on with the facial?
So I was just telling Spilly, we do a little dress up. We usually do connections. There's no connection to you whatsoever with this because you didn't play for the Cubs. But this is my Little League jersey, and I think it was from like age 12 or 13. I can't remember which one. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this sucker on today. And it's polyester. It's super old.
So
I'm hot.
You were right. It doesn't fit.
I mean, I'm telling Megan, I'm like, what do you think, Meg? She's like, you look great. How much longer are you going to keep that on? Now, just to confirm, was that a flip phone that you had in your hand?
Yeah, Zach Morris called once his phone.
What? You guys don't use those?
Oh, that was fantastic. You got to hit the P like 7 times to be able to text an R.
Can I tell you which jersey I have on?
Yeah, let's see it.
1999. Do you guys remember?
I think I remember seeing you pitch that thing.
Turn
forward the clock.
Those are like the future jerseys?
The futuristic jerseys.
That
was us with the Anaheim Angels in 1999. No, it didn't fit.
They got it wrong.
I thought I would wear this hat to go sort of along.
Very nice.
With that futuristic hat.
That's not a bad logo. I know that one didn't stick around very long.
You know what? I mean, it was definitely
life.
Disney.
Yeah.
It was Disney infused because Disney owned the team at the time. But it was a great organization to belong to, especially at that time because I had 3 young kids. We were owned by Disney, and they gave us this thing called a Silver Pass. And my wife would literally take my kids to Disneyland on the way to the ballpark, like she was just going to some corner park, and never wait in any line, go in there for like an hour and a half, wear the kids out by the time she got to the ball game. It was perfect.
Oh, man.
What is there a name of like a secret club, like Club 44? That's in Disneyland. I think it's in the New
That does sound familiar. Let's make up a name for it right now. Club 44 sounds good.
Mo Vaughn's club?
Yeah, Mo Vaughn was Club 42.
Oh, that's right. Did he wear 42 as a player?
He did. His first day with the Angels in 1999, huge free agent acquisition. And he goes, it was either in the first inning or second inning, foul territory to get a pop-up, and goes down the steps of the visitors' dugout and wrenches his ankle. I mean, just rips his ankle to shreds and couldn't play for 3 or 4 months.
Oh, gosh.
And the next time we came home, we had the little fences on the dugout. That wasn't in play anymore.
Yeah, that he could probably blow through anyway. He was a big dude. He was one of the few that was legitimately intimidating standing in the box a little bit. He had that look to him that could scare you. He'd look out at you too as well, try to scare you a little bit.
Yeah, Albert Bell was like that too, wasn't he?
Agreed. And Delgado used to try to do that to me too a little bit. I put those as like the top 3.
I tried not to look at guys. I would wilt if I looked at anybody in the eyeball. I was done.
Even if Spilly looked out at you, he'd giggle a little bit.
If Spilly did, you know what? If Spilly stared at me, I would probably laugh because every time I see him, he makes me laugh somehow, some way.
It's like a knuckleball pitcher facing a knuckleball hitter. You know, like you're just kind of
nobody takes it serious.
Yeah, nobody's in.
Such a fluke.
So what do you got for us, Sparky?
Okay, you know what? The first thing I wanted to show you guys is I want to let you know that I was a huge collector when I was a kid, but as a player, I wasn't a huge collector. But I had a paper route from 3rd grade until I went to college, and I spent 90% of my money on baseball cards or baseball memorabilia. And just outside of my office window right here, I just found more jerseys. I've got a Rod Carew jersey, a Dodgers jersey, 2 Mets, a Brown Padres jersey, a Don Mattingly jersey. This is stuff that I bought when I was in high school. You know, this is what I spent my money on. But I got to show you this stuff. So these are some basketball cards I got probably when I was 4 or 5 years old. This is the late 60s. But I want to show you something. So can you guys see these? They're really long. Okay.
Yeah.
And I want you to notice some things. So there's Walt Frazier, there's Oscar Robertson, there's Lou Alcindor. I mean, these are some pricey things. But look at this, Walt Frazier, and these are all like this. Do you notice anything weird about their jersey there? Can you see it very well?
Has his name's on the front?
His name's on the front because the card company didn't have a working agreement with the league,
gosh.
and they couldn't show the name. Cassie Russell right there. Frazier on the front. They had to all wear their jerseys backwards. Look at Oscar Robertson's ridiculous jersey. Is that crazy?
That's amazing. Do you have any minor league cards like that? Like I had a couple of minor league cards where they did not pay the rights, and so they would they would Photoshop out the team logo any way that they possibly could. It's embarrassing.
This is kind of funny. You know, when I was looking through some stuff, I just happened to find this, but there's this organization called Professional Athletes Outreach, and it'll take young couples, and they'll meet somewhere in the off season, usually in November, and go through some different life lessons, maybe couples therapy, just different things that they offer to professional athletes. And it was a really big deal when I was in the minor leagues in 1990 that in my little small group there was Gary Carter. I mean, we were hobnobbing with Gary Carter and his wife. And it's just so funny that I just happened to be looking in a box a couple days ago, and this is what I found. A Christmas card from Gary Carter.
It's amazing. Everybody had the frizzy hair, huh?
Yeah, everybody had the frizzy hair.
That's cool, man.
Had Carter's perm. That's sweet. And the sweater is the best part.
So was he leading? Did he lead in that group? Was he one of the guys, or was he there attending?
Well, I mean, among the players, there was probably about 10 players, you know, probably half of them minor leaguers, half of them were big leaguers. So we were a little intimidated. Michelle and I just kind of in that group like that. But Gary Carter really made everybody feel on an equal playing field. And I really appreciated that and tried to carry that forward.
Never forget that stuff, no doubt, right? Guys that make you feel included when you look up to them.
So I'm in Anaheim, and whenever you're playing with the Dodgers or the Angels, everybody always, there's always great national anthems, number one. It's Kenny Loggins, Donna Summer, or better. I mean, it's always stupid, right, compared to everybody else. But then there's always people that want to promote their movies. And one day this guy comes out to promote a movie. He was starting to get really big, and we were watching his movies a ton in the minors. It was Adam Sandler. And Chuck Finley was pitching that day. Myself and I think Kenny Hill and Jack McDowell all had a chance to catch the first pitch from Adam Sandler and play catch with him in the cage beforehand. And we all did the twos and the ones, and I actually won, so I got to catch the first pitch. When I was playing catch down in the cage with him, Terry Collins, our manager, comes in there, and he tries to be funny. He said something about not bouncing it, but it just came off horrible. The number one rule of all time is not to try to be funny to a comedian. Yeah. And I think Adam Sandler said something like, "Is your dad still crying?" or something like that. And there was about 20 of us in there, and we all started laughing. Terry Collins walks out of there kicking rocks. So that was funny.
Oh, that's amazing. So he just threw out the first pitch, you said?
He threw out the first pitch. He was there to promote Waterboy.
Oh, nice.
And this is the picture I got to take with
that's Adam a good one.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's
pretty cool.
So that's the second time that we've had somebody with like a celebrity picture. Danny Graves came on, and he had one with Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, and he was talking about how Young Guns was his favorite movie. And when they walked in the clubhouse, he said, and I don't know the movie as well, but he had basically said one of the famous lines from the movie at both of those guys, and he said they looked at him like he was an absolute idiot. We're not into it at all. Like the idea of throwing a line. So you didn't do anything that with Adam Sandler, like drop a little, any of his great stuff from
Yeah,
anything from
wish
SNL.
but he would have gone, shut up. So
that's great. Did he sign that picture real quick?
He did not. So I got this a little bit later, and I don't think I've ever run across him since. And certainly I didn't have the picture with me to be able to get it done. So it's a cool memento. It's been in my office for a long time, and people always comment on it, and it's always a fun piece.
That's
cool.
Cool.
Milo Hamilton's a Hall of Fame broadcaster. CJ, you certainly know him. Spilly, I'm sure you've heard of Milo Hamilton, called Hank Aaron's 715th home run. One of the best broadcasters of all time. Well, my partner, Robert Ford, and I took over for Milo Hamilton when he retired in 2012. And he kind of became a mentor of mine, and I would call him at least once a week, and he would offer advice and some encouragement. But one thing, he had me over at his place one day, and he gave me 3 things. And I thought it was pretty cool. One of the things is his last scorebook.
Ooh.
That he kept.
Yes.
Hall of Fame broadcaster, and I've got his last scorebook that he kept in 2012, and how he color coded it and all that stuff. So I thought that was
a cool one.
And then the next item that he gave me was interesting, to say the least. He knew I liked golf, and he gave me a putter. And it's a really generic kind of putter, but it's got his name inscripted in here, and then it's got Old Style Beer.
Oh, nice.
As the sponsor. So I guess he sponsored Old Style Beer somewhere along the line, whether it was when he was with the Cubs or the Braves or whoever he was with. But
have you ever thought about using it? Have you ever used it? It's only been.
I might sometime. When I got this out, I thought, you know what, I ought to give this a try and see what the face is like. But the one item that he gave me that I liked the most, and it's because my dad really idolized this guy, is he gave me a book by John Wooden, and it's called One-on-One, and it's got life lessons in it, and John Wooden signed it too.
Oh,
isn't that cool?
Very nice. This looks like Milo Hamilton a little bit in that picture.
That's right.
It's John Wooden.
He does.
That's a really nice piece right there.
I know. So John
nice
Wooden
stuff, Sparky.
signed book. Do you think so? Because I really didn't feel. So I'm sitting on a quilted. It's a quilt of our jerseys when I was with the Angels of players. So there's Randy Velarde's piece of his jersey.
Oh yeah.
Orlando Palmeiro, Chuck Finley.
Wow, cool.
Jerry DiSarsuna, Jimmy Evans, all that stuff. And the wives sold those, and I bought one for some charity event.
So Sparky, since you were talking about scorebooks, I actually brought one out to show you. Cool. I thought, because we're going to do some loud out, some one man trash giveaway later on, and so here's the scorebook that I have, and it's evolved over time to being on an iPad, but I think you might find this. So I tried to make them a little bit bigger last year. So here's the giveaway. Here's the same scorebook, about 20 sizes too big.
Wow.
What happened?
So that's like CJ's Farrah Fawcett poster.
So
don't tell Megan, it's on the back of the door.
So this thing, Sparky, like you can imagine going to a visit. Like, so the first time I had this, I busted it out and I dropped it on the desk. And I'm like,
what'd you carry that in?
That is amazing.
Satchel. So do you think Milo Hamilton would like something like this?
Well, he could definitely see what he was writing at that point. That
is amazing. What size is that thing?
I don't even know. I think
you don't use it, do you?
No, I could. Are you kidding me? I'd be laughed out of the broadcast world.
Yeah, you'd probably have to pay extra to bring that on the plane too.
So, anyways, I want to do this as a giveaway, and since you showed your scorecard, which I love scorecards.
Did you score any games in that, Spilly?
No, I have not. I don't think so.
So it's completely empty.
Completely empty.
Nice.
and I got 2 of them. So
Wow.
away. I think the
I'm
cost of
I'm
shipping
trying to
is
think.
like $1,000.
It almost looks like you could write the Gettysburg Address in there. I feel real comfortable on one sheet.
You get that from Ellis Island? Everyone signed that?
It's 11 by 17.
Oh, my.
Is the size.
Okay,
Big
so
one.
I want to show you this. And this is a little odd, and it's not anything that I really collected, but it's something I held on to. So this is a normal catcher's glove. And when I was done, I traded Brandon Inge. This has Brandon Inge's name on the back. One of my teammates, at one point, one of my gloves for his glove, because I knew, I'd like to have a catcher's glove. And if I gave pitching lessons or whatever, I'd have a glove, and I use that a lot. But that's the size of a regular glove, and this is the size of a knuckleball catcher's glove. See, that it's like a frying pan, but if you look really closely, you see what that says there, CJ?
Sparks?
Pro
It
Sparks?
says Pro Sparks. And the reason it says Pro Sparks is that's the model that every knuckleballer's catcher uses. This is the model that everybody, R.A. Dickey's catcher used, everybody used, because I came up with this certain style of glove through trial and error with Rawlings at the time, that they ended up just naming it the Pro Sparks.
Come
So
on.
if anybody orders the knuckleball glove, it's the Pro Sparks model.
So how did you...
This is the only one I have.
So now, do you have at one point during your career, and as you're moving around a little bit, did you make sure you had a couple of those? Like, did you give them to your catchers? Were all your catchers receptive?
Yeah, I was getting feedback from guys early on in my career. You wanted them pretty light, and you wanted it to resemble a girl's catcher's fast pitch softball glove. It would be light. And we took out some of the leather in part around this part. But the other thing is we had to get this part really tight and have this go forward, because CJ, it's kind of weird. This is a weird thing, but it happened about 4 or 5 times, is whenever there was a play at the plate and there was going to be somebody sliding home, if this wasn't bent forward, the ball would scoop out of there because it was so big.
Like highlight.
But this would scoop forward, like highlight. So we got that in there, so guys didn't have to worry about the ball coming out when they were just making a routine tag.
So go ahead, Spark. Go ahead, Spark.
No, I was just gonna say, like, when did you decide to move to the knuckleball? I mean, like,
yeah.
I mean,
You were
drafted
pitcher for about 6 years in the minor leagues,
right?
And I was stalling out at the AA level. It was in El Paso, which was a tough place to pitch anyway. But if my location wasn't great, I was very borderline. And I think Milwaukee, and this is just from what they told me, they didn't want to release me. They wanted to give me another shot at something else, and they thought I might be a good candidate to be a knuckleball pitcher, because a little shorter in stature helps. And simple mechanics, and I think more than anything, it's the temperament of the person. I think when you get a group of the knuckleball pitchers in there together, a lot of the guys have a lot of the same personalities. So kind of carefree, kind of relaxed and things of that nature, which I think you have to be to throw that pitch.
What's the average time? Because I know some guys it takes a while, right? When you make that decision. Okay, I'm going to become a knuckleball pitcher, before you can get big league ready or to the point where you feel like you can compete at the big league level. How long did that take for you?
I think it depends on the level of commitment. I had never thrown a knuckleball before. So for me, the Brewers wanted me to throw it 30%, then 50%, and then 70% in 3 successive years. In the first 2 years, I got worse because I didn't really commit to it. And 1 year I went to Los Mochis, Mexico, played winter ball, and told myself, I don't care if I get released. And I threw it every single pitch, and that's when I got better. And by the end of that, I was knocking at the door.
So about 3 or 4 year period before you got real comfortable.
3 years.
It took R.A. Dickey a while, because it took R.A. a while. I remember I played with him, and I remember playing against him, and he came into town in New Orleans. I want to say it was about 2005 or so, and he was like, "Man, he's like, they want me to be a knuckleball pitcher," and he didn't want to do it.
He didn't.
He seemed pretty resistant. And then, it changed. You talk about a dramatic change in a career. He was probably near a dead end, and then he ends up winning a Cy Young Award.
Right. It's funny how split decisions can change people's lives. I had a similar experience. My junior year in college, I was a shortstop in junior college. Go to play at Sam Houston State and walk on, run a bad 60-timer, hear the guy with the stopwatch say 7 something, and I panic. By the time I walked back to the guy, I asked him why the pitchers were running 60-yard dashes, and he sent me over with the pitchers, and that changed my life. just from sheer hand.
That's amazing. Oh, that is so awesome, man.
Okay,
now, hey, real quick, last question, real quick, on the knuckleball stuff. When R.A. Dickey goes and wins the Cy Young Award, because there's a pretty tight knit community among knuckleball pitchers, maybe so unique compared to anything else that we have in the game. We talk about bullpen guys kind of being together, and maybe your hitters here and there, but the knuckleball community is pretty special. It's pretty small. When he won, I think he kind of mentioned like we did it kind of thing, if I remember, in his speech and speaking about that. Was there a little bit of a sense of pride for you when you saw him beating out Clayton Kershaw to win that Cy Young?
There's no question about it. You know, everybody was thrilled to death, and it is. We all know what the other ones are going through. It's like no other pitch or group in baseball. It's a really tight fraternity. Everybody's got everybody's telephone numbers, and we offer suggestions and take it or leave it. But I remember one of the biggest thrills I ever had was Wakefield and I had an opportunity about 3 hours before batting practice started at Fenway Park in 1995. We got a chance to hang out with Phil Necro and just bounce ideas off of him for 2.5 hours.
That's amazing.
It's one of the biggest thrills of my life, you know, getting a chance to do that. And I know it catapulted him, you know, and I think it helped me to an extent, but everybody there is willing to help.
One more on the knuckleball, because I don't want this pitch to ever die. Right? Like, it has to be passed down generation to generation.
Right.
How when you're learning this pitch, like, traditional pitching coaches don't know what to teach you.
Right.
So, like, what do they say to you? Like, what was the best piece of advice when you were learning it with the Brewers?
You know, I used to get really proactive with my pitching coaches because I knew they felt like just what you were saying, Spilly. So I would just say, here's what I want it to do. Keep an eye on what it looks like when I'm throwing good ones. When I'm taking the spin off the ball, see if you can remember what that is. And if you see me doing something different, you know, point that out. You know, I had a couple of really good ones, Steve McCaddy and Dan Worthen, Bob Cluck. I had some really good pitching coaches who were able to say, all right, you're stepping across your body a little bit now, you're cutting it off and not staying behind it. So I think that's taken away from your late movement, that, you know, from when you're really good. So they were the ones, and I think really good pitching coaches, really good hitting coaches, for whatever reason, and I guarantee you two do this, is when you're watching somebody go through their motion of hitting, or CJ, you watching somebody go through pitching, I think you're taking mental snapshots along the way. And I think you can pinpoint when somebody's hand's a little bit off to the side. I really think you can, because I know I can.
Yeah.
So I think that's what good pitching coaches do.
And now they got those unbelievable cameras to help them out in case they can't do it with their own eyeballs.
No doubt about it. So I mentioned to you that I was a huge fan growing up. I spent a lot of my money, and I would go to baseball card conventions. And I went to a baseball card convention, and I think I was probably in 9th grade. I was really small for my age, but I was in 9th grade, very impressionable, of course. And you guys know this because you've encouraged people along the way. But I ran into this man. He was at this baseball card convention. So I bought an oil painting of him, and he signed it for me. Can you see it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Stan Musial.
Uh-huh.
And he writes to Steve, best wishes, Stan Musial, okay? So, and I got it put in a frame and all that, but that's not the story. The story is when I was going through the line and getting that sign, I shook his hand and he said something to me, and he acted like he got really startled about how strong my grip was. And he goes, "Oh my gosh, son, your forearms and your hands are so strong. You're going to be a big leaguer someday." And that stuck with me the rest of my life. So when I see little kids and they put forth the effort to give me a good handshake, I always make a comment like Stan Musial did, because that meant so much to me.
Oh, that is amazing, man. How old were you when that happened?
9th grade.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, you got the hairs to stand up, man. Like, that's
So
awesome.
that cool?
Yeah, so that's our third Stan Musial, I think, item we've had, and definitely the best story of the group. Yeah, you know, Danny Graves had one where Stan Musial made him a ring out of like a dollar bill on like a cruise. It was pretty funny. And then Matt Holliday talked about meeting him and just, you know, being a Cardinal and being around all those greats and getting an opportunity with Stan Musial. And it starts to line up. Right? I didn't know a ton about him, but the more you hear things like that and what the other guys had to say, seems like he was an incredible person too.
Yeah, didn't know me from Adam, but those comments lasted a lifetime, and I'll never forget them. And you know, like I said, I tried to pass it along. Okay, CJ, you were here for this one.
Nice.
May 18th, 2004. We were in Atlanta. We were playing against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I were bystanders. We were spectators. You were in the other team's bullpen. I was in the Arizona Diamondbacks dugout.
Mm-hmm.
And about the second or third inning, Brandon Webb, Casey Daigle, and I think Matt Manti was sitting next to us, made a comment, and we all said something to the same vein, and it was, he's got a little something extra tonight. And we were talking about Randy Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
and we noticed it early. And a couple bang plays early in the game. He gets through it. Everybody's pretty stoic. Fifth, sixth inning, Daigle tries to get up to take a leak. I punch him in the thigh, give him a Charlie horse. He sits back down. We get through it, man. He throws a perfect game. But here's the funny part I thought about this thing. I think it was the eighth inning, and Richie Sexson was on our team, and he's funny. Richie Sexson was really funny, but he was on the DL, and his name was not on the lineup card. So if you look at the lineup card, later on in the year, I bought a jersey of Randy's, and he signed it to. I asked him if he would sign it to my son, so he wrote it to Blake, and I got it framed. But Randy, after the perfect game, also got everybody a photocopy of the lineup card and signed it for everybody. So inside of this frame of his jersey, I've got the photocopy of the lineup of his perfect game. But there's something kind of funny in it because Richie Sexson asked our trainer if he had a Sharpie in the eighth inning. And he goes, yeah, I guess. So he hands him a Sharpie. And I didn't realize why until afterwards. But Richie Sexson, and you'll be able to see on this photo, wrote his name on the lineup card because he wasn't on it. And he thought, man, there's something big is going down right here. I got to be able to prove I was here. So look at this.
That's some foresight.
So
First
here's
of all,
the
that's
jersey.
amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's great. It's like the size of my scorecard.
Can you guys see the scorecard very well?
Yeah, we'll have you take a picture of it though too, so we can do a nice close up of it.
Okay, so halfway down there, everything looks really nice, and it's almost calligraphy. How well? And CJ, your name's on there. You're in
Yes,
the
how about it? Yeah, I got to watch that
and
one.
then Fat Thumb Sexson gets a Sharpie and scribbles his name across there and makes it so obvious that he wrote it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's amazing. I like the reflection of your makeup mirror back there too, buddy.
He's in the middle.
Yeah, that's my daughter's. My daughter's in broadcast journalism at Oklahoma, so she let me borrow
That is your makeup mirror. It's okay. That's a great story, man. And what great foresight. So what I remember about that game, so, it's cool when you're sitting there watching something happen, even if it's happening against your team. You're kind of like, all right, you know what? I want to see it. Like Eddie Murray hit his 500 home run against us. I was at the Kerry Wood game when he struck out 20 as a member of the Astros. I was at Roger Clemens strikeout game. I actually the 20 strikeout game. I pitched in that one. Like I wanted to see all those things. I'm like, yeah, get there. Let's see 20. Let's see 21, right? Even though it was against your team. But that game in particular, we were going through such a rough time. The offense was in such a rut. And at that point, all those things I mentioned, I had already seen.
Way to quit in May, CJ.
Yeah, it wasn't going well. I was like, I do not want to see this. Like, this is the one time I was like, yeah, it'd be cool and all, I get it, but not now. Not now. And sure enough, he absolutely dominated, of course. It was amazing.
I want to take a break before the last thing I show you, but there was one thing in particular that I especially wanted to show you because you work with CJ on a regular basis. But it was right around 2000, 2001, maybe a couple years after that, CJ sent me a plaque in the mail, and it commemorated a record that he and I both held. And he and I both still have the major league record, tied anyway. And when you look at the list, there's Wilbur Wood, Knuckleballer, Tom Candiotti, Knuckleballer, Steve Sparks, Knuckleballer. And CJ's on that list. Somehow, he throws the ball with the ends of his fingers, not his nails. And he hit 3 batters in 1 inning. I don't know how it happened. But he had the nuts to send me a plaque saying that we both tied a record, and I'm holding the ball with my fingernails.
So, you know what I love about that it happened? I think Doc Ellis did it as well, right? The guy known for pitching on LSD.
Pitching on LSD.
But so it didn't happen for the longest time, right? You mentioned some of the older guys, and then I did it in 1998. There was a pretty big gap. I think it hadn't happened since the 70s. Yeah. But since then, I've had 3 teammates do it. You did it, and a teammate of yours, Jeff Weaver, did it.
Wow.
And then Javier Vasquez did it. After I gave you that plaque, those guys did it after the fact.
Wow.
Yeah. So
and it came up again when I was broadcasting when Charlie Morton with the Astros 2 years ago, he did it in 1 inning. So it came up again.
3 hit batters in a row. It's just an amazing piece of history that people talk about.
You know what's funny? I looked it up on Baseball Reference, CJ. You had a really clean 1, 2, 3 inning right before that. So it just came out of nowhere.
I was locked in, man. It started raining in Florida. And it was one of those things I remember too, because I was sitting, and this is not stuff you should be thinking about in the middle of the year, right? But I'm sitting there, and I knew that I threw that shutout inning, the first one, and I felt good. I knew my ERA dropped below 3, right? I'm like, now. I'm cruising. Things are going great.
You were the guy that figured out your ERA in the dirt behind the rubber, didn't you?
It's paying off now, but it didn't make sense while I was playing to be that stat guy. But so then I was cruising along, and then all of a sudden I had, I think it was Jackson, lefty. We play with him in Detroit. Ryan Jackson. And I had him 0-2, and I overthrew a pitch 0-2, and I hit him. I was trying to go away, hit him, you drilled him pretty good. And then
Counsell was the third guy.
Yeah, and then I hit Kevin Ory, who I had a chance to play with later. And then unfortunately,
Craig Counsell. That's why you wore the Cubs jersey.
There's the tie-in. And then I hit poor Craig Counsell in the face, which was brutal. But yeah, and then the whole thing that just unraveled really fast for me. And I didn't have a 3 after that.
Oh, you didn't have a 3.
I went well above.
4 spot. Okay, is it okay if I stand up here?
Yeah, of
course.
Anything anything that helps us see that jersey.
Here's the World Series ring. So that wanted to show you that. That's pretty cool. I mean,
look, you got your own light
no matter
there,
what fashion. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, here's something funny. This is just a side note. Looks like this is a bobblehead of Steve Sparks, right? Mm-hmm. My son was so upset that I never had a bobblehead that my daughter's friend's mom took a Roger Clemens and erased all the Yankee stuff and changed it to me in Detroit.
Wow.
And all that stuff. Is that crazy?
That's amazing.
Perfect.
And gave it to him for Christmas. So he thinks that's legit. He still does. He's 24 years old. He's still stupid. Okay.
Gosh, I can't believe he's 24, man. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So unopened bottle of wine, some cool things. My son stole my number at Whataburger one day.
No, that's cool.
That's cool. And this is the last piece I want to show you. So this might be worth more than that World Series ring.
Oh, my.
Okay, so it's pretty cool. It's a bottle of wine, and you got a second for this story?
Yeah, of course.
This guy comes into Old Yankee Stadium. He's in his early 20s, and he's from Brooklyn, and he's a magician. And I was the first one at the ballpark that day, and he asked me if I would mind assisting him with one of his tricks. And I thought that was kind of weird, but I agreed to it. So once the first bus came, I think I had pitched the day before, so I had to get there early to do some cardio stuff. So when everybody comes to the ballpark, he puts on this elaborate show. But he told me beforehand, and he told me to stick it in my pants pocket. He ripped apart the 7 of spades into 4 pieces, and he kind of made it jagged. So it looked kind of like he just kind of ripped it just really easily. So he does this trick, and he told me when he was going to need me to go around through the laundry area and into the clubhouse manager's office. He wanted me to lick the front of the pieces of this 7 of spades, the 4 pieces, and put them on the glass window of the equipment manager. And everybody's back was to me as I was doing this, putting this piece and this together. And he was going through this, and this guy's from Brooklyn, and he talks real slow. He talks real low, so you have to kind of lean in, but he blows you away. And you've seen him on TV now. But he was doing this stuff, and then I think he stabbed on a table, a deck of cards that was upside down, comes up with the 7 of spades, rips it apart, and acts like he throws it across the room. And then they see all that, stuck on the other side of this window pane, and everybody's going nuts, and they had no idea that I planted that point. So this guy writes this on a bottle. Can you see what he writes? It says, "Shh, David Blaine." So I've kept that for probably, I don't know, 30. Oh my gosh.